That's right! Welcome to the side of the ring because it's time for Ringside. Got a bunch of news lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen, so without further ado, we're just gonna whack! F4W Online's Dave Meltzer said WWE is not planning to book a tag team match of The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins on February 24th at Elimination Chamber. Roman and The Rock won't be in Australia for that event, and Rollins needs more time to recover from his torn MCL before he can return to the ring. If that tag match happens, it will most likely take place on night 1, April 6th, of WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. I don't even think it's going to take place then. That sounds like a match that more than likely is going to take place on like a Friday or a SmackDown or something like that, you know? I don't 100% deny that that type of match will happen. It may not happen in the capacity that, you know, is being said in this report here, but I don't deny that the match of some ilk, either way, will take place, right? There's no way they are putting Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and The Rock, who else? My brain, and Cody Rhodes on night 1 of WrestleMania. And even if they do, it would have to take place way in the beginning, okay? Because Seth Rollins has to be on that card somewhere, unless the main event of night 1 is one of the women's matches or something, right? Because you're not putting, hey, I just got off of a torn MCL injury, Seth Rollins, on double duty on night 1. There's no way. So if it's going to happen, and it's not going to happen in an Elimination Chamber, you know, which is still very odd, it's more than likely going to happen on on a Raw or SmackDown or something like that. So at the time of this recording, The Rock and Roman are going to be at next week's SmackDown. So, which is this week's SmackDown? No, that time of this recording, it's next week's SmackDown. But you're hearing this, so it'll be this week's SmackDown. So maybe it'll happen there, but I doubt it's going to happen at WrestleMania. Next, Fightful Select says for a long time, Sting was against the idea of winning the AEW World Tag Team titles or even competing for the belts. However, AEW decided, quote, well in advance of this week that Sting and Darby Allin were going to win the gold. Sting went along with the plan, and it sounds like he was, quote, all smiles backstage after the match. So they just won the titles so that the Young Bucks could take it off of him. As soon as they won the titles, that was my first knee-jerk thought. Oh, they're just winning the titles so that because why would you have Sting in his retirement match retain the tag team titles? So Sting can just walk off to the Wild Blue Yonder and Darby can be like, okay, well, I guess I'm just alone now. You know, that doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why they won the tag team titles in the first place if we know that Sting is going to retire and the Young Bucks are going to take them on at Revolution. It doesn't make any sense. This is what I'm talking about. I can see the match from 5, 10, 15 miles away. You can't sit here and be like, I wonder what's going to happen. You're putting Sting and Darby Allin in a tag team title match against the Young Bucks. Do you expect me to think that Sting and Darby Allin are going to win? I hope to God that you do not sit here and expect me to think that Sting and Darby Allin are going to win. I really hope not. Okay, Sting and Darby. Well, Sting more so is going to get the brakes put on him, and Darby's just going to get thrown around because that's usually what happens, and they're going to lose. And then the Young Bucks are going to be in their new Matthew and Nicholas gimmicks, right? And they're going to be the tag team champions. And this is the same exact thing that happened with the AEW Best of 7 Trios tag team title thing. It's like, I know exactly what's going to happen. And you're trying to prolong it for really no reason. I don't understand what you're stretching it out for. I already know exactly what's going to happen. And hey, guess what? It happened. So I don't understand what's going on here. There's nothing to say here. There's nothing. Sting and Darby Allin are going to lose. Oh, but why would they win? Why would Darby Allin go through that whole rigmarole of Sting retaining the title only for Sting to be like, all right, well, I guess I'm out of here. That doesn't make any sense. Unless Sting says, you know what? I got another 6 months in me. Unless Sting says that. But other than that, there's no way Sting and Darby Allin are keeping the titles. Moving back to WWE, the Wrestling Observer newsletter recently indicated that WWE is still planning to book Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania 40. At the time of this recording, we are 2 weeks away from Elimination Chamber, and right after that is WrestleMania 40. If you're going to start the build to Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso, you need to do it right now. That match has main event written all over it, and the only reason why it's not the main event is because you got The Rock and Roman and Cody and stuff. Like, I completely understand. The history, okay, the storyline, the relationship, the development between both personalities and the way that they've split off between one another. There's so many different ways that you could do this storyline, and it could be absolutely fantastic from top to bottom, from start to finish, beginning, middle, and end, okay? The fact that they haven't started on it now is it's just a little bit worrying for me. I'm a little bit worried. I feel like this is a story that you need to start right now, and so far, Jay and Jimmy have not interacted once. I think that they've maybe crossed paths maybe once or twice since Jay split off, but they have not said anything to each other. They've not interacted, and if this type of matchup needs something, I don't know. I'm not saying they need to make out in the middle of the ring, but something needs to happen between the two of them now and then leading up. I think now is probably not the best time to be sprinkling it in here and there, because you're getting closer to WrestleMania than you think you are, okay? You're gonna blink and you're gonna be starting night 2 of WrestleMania. So I think the best thing to do, don't start it at Elimination Chamber. I don't think that you should be doing that. I think that on this Friday, at the time of this upload, this Friday, I think that's when you should start it. Maybe, I don't know. Roman is I don't know. Roman is oh, I need all the Bloodline members here, or something like that. I don't know. Get them in the ring somehow. Get them in the ring together, and I don't know, have them stare daggers at each other. I have no idea. But the rivalry needs to start now. You can't wait any longer, because it's not going to be, the storyline needs to be, stretched out long enough so that when it does eventually get to WrestleMania, everybody will be excited. I think that the story beats and the things that the ways that you want to tell the story are not going to be told properly being so close to WrestleMania. I say that, and WrestleMania is in April, and it's only February, but I mean, that, if anything, that now is a good time to build it, at least in my personal opinion. So, if not now, then hopefully soon. Moving over to TNA, according to PW Insider, in the weeks before Scott D'Amore was fired by Anthem, he, quote, approached Anthem with an offer to buy TNA outright from them, quote, backed by a letter with a major banking institution. Some people on Anthem's side said, quote, it was seen as a legitimate offer that was worthy of consideration, but Anthem ultimately rejected it. D'Amore knew for at least a week that Anthem was getting rid of him, and Insider first heard about this possibly happening several weeks before that. Meltzer adds that D'Amore had, quote, a dispute with management over TNA's budget. The observant ones know that I already talked about this on my podcast, so I'm not gonna talk about it for too long. All I'm gonna say is this. This was planned. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were trying to get rid of Scott D'Amore because, now I don't know anything. Now I just wanted to put my hand in the air, and I want to tell everybody right now that I was not in the room and I don't know 100% anything of going on. I'm just going off of speculation and just my own personal opinion and observation. I'm going to tell you this, okay? And you don't have to take it with you to the bank, right? I'll just tell you this. They knew what they were doing, right? They had a plan for the company and what they were going to do and how they were going to do it, and they had the money all laid out, okay? Scott came in and he said, you know what, I've got a better idea. What if we do this? And Anthem said, you know what, the fact that you've even come in and you have tried to derail the plan that we already had in place, you gotta go. That's my personal opinion. I think that Anthem had a whole thing going on. They had a whole thing laid out. And Scott said, well, what if we did this? And Anthem said, just for that, get out. Scott was going against what Anthem had. Anthem didn't like the way that it sounded. And because they were under the assumption that Scott was just going to keep pushing back, keep resisting, they said, you know what, leave. I could be wrong. Maybe I am wrong. If I am, that's perfectly fine. That's what I'm interpreting from this. That is my personal speculation. This company had a whole plan. Scott went against it, and they said, never mind. Okay? So he had a dispute with management over TNA's budget. That could mean anything. I don't even 100% know what that means because there's so many different variables that go into that. My speculation is that maybe Anthem was spending the money improperly, and Scott said, well, I don't like how I don't like where the money is being put. I don't like what we're spending it on. I don't like where it's going. I don't like where it's not going. I think this is what we should do. And Anthem, and maybe that tied into it. Maybe Anthem said, you know what? I'm getting tired of your voice. Leave. Right? I could be wrong. I don't 100%. Again, I just want to preface this. I don't 100% know. Whatever I'm saying is not fact. I'm just going off of what I'm reading here. Okay? So, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the dispute over the budget is. It could be anything. It could be anything. Maybe Scott wanted to buy a bunch of absolute nonsense and Anthem was like, you know what, Scott, just for that, you gotta go. I don't 100% know. But from what I'm understanding, Anthem said yes, Scott said no, Anthem kicked him to the curb, and maybe that also had to do with, the budget. I could be wrong. Finally, per Meltzer, Chris Jericho is the highest paid wrestler in AEW. I hope that that's not true. I'm just going to be honest with you. Please, God, tell me that's not true. Please tell me that Fossil is not the highest paid wrestler in AEW. There's no way that he is currently the highest paid wrestler in AEW when Mercedes Moné is literally walking down. I'm looking out the window right now. I can see her walking up to the door. She's waiting for traffic to pass, and then she will come up to the door and then come inside. There's no way that that's true. I mean, maybe now, currently, because she's not in the building yet. So yes, Chris Jericho is the highest paid wrestler in AEW. There's no way that he's getting paid more than Mercedes Moné or Kazuchika Okada. There's absolutely no way. There's also no way he's the highest paid wrestler in AEW, and he's having what I'm just going to go ahead and say right now, a lackluster storyline with, what do they call it? The Don Callis family. He is sucking the life out of the Don Callis family. They're right. Chris Jericho is a vampire. Every storyline that he gets into, he just sucks the life out of whoever he's with. He is deflating them one by one, man. This is ridiculous. Anyway, I digress. There's no way he's the highest paid wrestler in AEW. And with the storylines that he's got going on, man, I and if that's true, I can't believe it. I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is just hey, currently he's the highest paid wrestler, but as soon as Moné puts her big toe in the front door, he will officially be not the highest paid wrestler. Because there's no way you got Mercedes Moné coming in and they're talking about, she's going to change the women's division single-handedly. She's going to invent women's wrestling as soon as she gets in AEW. Hey, Tony Khan just realized that he has the women's division that he needs to work on, and Mercedes Moné is going to help him with that, and Chris Jericho is still the highest paid wrestler. There's literally no way. There's not much else to say, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that Chris Jericho is not the highest paid wrestler in AEW. What are we talking about? So, there's a speculation that Rock and Roman versus Cody and Rollins is more than likely going to happen on night one of WrestleMania. I do not think that that's even true for even a second, because I don't understand why you would have any one of them on night one if there's even a chance that they could potentially show up on night one at the same exact, you know what I mean? Like on the same night, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. That's why I'm saying, even if that does happen, which I don't think it is, it's more than likely going to happen on a Raw or SmackDown. It's probably going to take place. Well, yeah, even if it does happen, that would have to happen with, one of the women's championships taking place on night one. Okay, earlier this week, Meltzer mentioned that Dwayne Johnson doesn't care if he's booed by the fans at WrestleMania 40. The most important thing to The Rock is to draw the most money for WWE, whether he's a babyface or a heel. I feel like that's got like a tinge of kayfabe in it. Like, The Rock is like, well, I don't care that I'm being booed, so look at you. I just want to put on a good product. So that's what I'm taking from it. I also like that, The Rock is like, look, I just want to make sure this is good, which is good to know. Fightful says for a long time, okay, they won the titles for no reason because they're going to lose the titles from the Young Bucks. It doesn't make any sense. It literally does not. The only way this would make sense if Sting was like, I got like 6 more months left in me. Otherwise, this makes zero sense. All right. Wrestling Observer Newsletter recently indicated WWE still planning to book Jay versus Jimmy at WrestleMania 40. If you're going to do that, I think the best thing to do is to do it now rather than later, because I feel like that there's a lot of different story beats that you could go off of, and I feel like I don't know, I just feel like there's not enough time. I feel like you've got way more time than I'm initially anticipating, but I feel like you could tell the story very well going into WrestleMania. Like, this could be one of the matches that isn't even the main event, but it could be like a sleeper, you know what I mean? So if you're gonna do it now, right? Okay, so the weeks before, Scott was fired by Anthem. He approached them with an offer to buy them, and they said no. And he knew for at least the last week that Anthem was getting rid of him. This was planned completely from the beginning. They were like, look, we're gonna get this guy out of here. There's stuff that we want to do and say and perform, and he's gonna stand in the way of that. We need to get him out of here. That's all I'm gonna say. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm interpreting. And per Meltzer, Chris Jericho's high paid wrestler at AEW. I hope to God that that's not true. There's no way that Chris Jericho is getting paid more than Mercedes Moné and Kazuchika Okada after all the nonsense and all the hoopla that Tony Khan was talking about with Mercedes and Okada, and she invented women. Mercedes Moné invented the female. According to Tony Khan, Mercedes Moné is Susan B. Anthony. She invented the Susan B. Anthony coin. Mercedes Moné was running around telling women that we need to vote. God damn it, we have voices and we need to be heard. We are women. We hear us roar. According to Tony Khan, there's no way that she is not getting paid as much as Chris Jericho. That makes no sense, folks. That's gonna do it. Hopefully, everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs all around.